everybody. Thanks for joining in, and I hope you guys enjoyed the games yesterday. Boy, there were some crazy games yesterday. I want to tell you something. Some were a shock to me, not so much, maybe not so much a shock, but unexpected. Other games, you kind of knew what was going to happen. Let's go ahead and talk about all the games from yesterday, and we'll briefly discuss today's games, and we'll discuss them more in detail afterwards, maybe tomorrow, when the results are in and we see who wins and who loses. Let's talk about the first game that was against the Browns and the Texans. Now, I was kind of up in the air about this game. I thought the Browns were going to win. The Browns defense, just one of the top defense. I think they were maybe even top two, three, four defenses in the NFL this past season. So I thought they were going to hold on. The Texans, I know, have a good defense, but not as good as the Browns. So this game was a little bit of a shock. I picked personally. I thought Cleveland was going to win it. I didn't think they were going to win it by much because you know how Joe Flacco tends to be that guy. You know he can do those Joe Flacco things, and anyways, he ended up doing that. But let's talk about that for a really quick second. I want to start out by talking about C.J. Stroud. I mean, this kid is just amazing. He is like everything the Jets was hoping Zach Wilson was going to be. He was just on target. He even when he was rushed, he would hit open guys. He was on the money. I don't think he made too many mistakes at all. Maybe one or two, and they didn't cost the team anything at all. He was just amazing. And the Texans defense was much better than I thought they were going to be themselves. Stopped the Browns from doing anything. And at the end of the day, Joe Flacco, unfortunately, he threw two pick sixes on consecutive drives. That is that killed the game for the Browns. They were out of it after that. And Texans were having their will with them. Stroud passing the run game. They couldn't stop them. They couldn't stop anything from the Texans were doing. They just had their will with the Browns. So that game ended up 45-14. It was basically just a drubbing by the Texans. They're moving on. I don't know how well they're going to do moving on into the playoffs, but I'll tell you right now, that was a dominant performance. They owned the Browns defense, and it was just a good win for that team. Moving on to the second game, the Dolphins and Chiefs in Arrowhead. First of all, I want to give kudos to the Chiefs fans and Dolphins fans as well who showed up at that game. This game was like 4 below zero when it started, 7 below zero, something along that, and that's not even counting the wind chill factor. So this was a brutal game. That being said, though, both teams are playing in it. I know the Dolphins play in South Florida, so they're not really they don't play in that kind of weather. But this is the coldest game, one of the 4 or 5 coldest games in NFL history. So even though the Chiefs, they don't play during the season and weather like that either. This is weather that comes in December, January's, maybe late November. You might get a weird cold spell, but all in all, that game, I never thought, and I don't think anybody else did. I never gave the Dolphins much chance of winning that ball game. They've been kind of that team all year where they can't beat a good team. They can beat up bad teams, but they can't beat. They even have trouble beating mediocre teams. They couldn't even beat them. So I don't think anybody really gave the Dolphins much of a chance yesterday to win that ball game. I didn't. The final score was 26-7 Kansas City. It's not really a bad beating by the Chiefs. I mean, they look kind of suspect too. I have to say, Mahomes and them, they don't look like the Chiefs of the past. I know they're defending champs and they're in there. They're moving on to the second round. However, they still don't look sharp as they have in the past. So it's going to be still yet to see what happens in their next game. Moving forward. But either way, like I said, I don't think anybody really gave the Dolphins much chance of winning that ball game. That was going to be the Chiefs game all the way, and that's all there was to that. Now let's move on to the game that I thought I was shocked at. This game was the Packers and Cowboys. Jordan Love, I want to tell you something right now. In the beginning of the season, when the Packers were passing the torch, and Rodgers is a Jet now, and we all know how that ended up. I didn't think this kid was going to have a chance to be that good. I mean, I knew he was going to be okay, maybe mid to lower tier quarterback. But yesterday, I want to tell you something right now. I was shocked. I didn't want to see the Cowboys win because I'm not a real big Cowboy fan. I don't care either way, who wins a game. I thought the Cowboys were going to handle them guys at home. It's a playoff game. this is one of the better Cowboy teams I've seen in years. Even though they've rolled off like three straight 12-5 seasons, something like that. This was the better team of all those seasons in the past I've seen. I figured this is a team that's going to go to the championship game, and they're going to duke it out against the 49ers, who I believe is going to be the NFC's team in the Super Bowl this year. But either way, I had the Cowboys going there and really the Cowboys and 49ers duking it out. But yesterday, the Packers were so dominant. Jordan Love was so dominant. He did anything he wanted to do against this Dallas Cowboy defense. Anything. I mean, the Cowboys looked terrible. They were out of sync. Dak threw a pick six in the game. This game was 27-0 at one point. I know it ended up 48-32, but anybody out there who didn't see this ball game, don't be fooled by that score. This was not a close game. The Cowboys were manhandled. They were mangled. They were destroyed by Green Bay. It was 48-16 with 6 minutes left in this ball game. They scored a couple of touchdowns, the Cowboys, and I know they ended up getting 2 touchdowns late, but most of that was when Green Bay had their reserves in. They had half the defense, I think, out of there. They sat down Jordan Love for a couple series. They put the guys, back in the end just to seal the deal. But let's not make any mistake about it. The Cowboys were destroyed yesterday by the Green Bay Packers, and I was impressed by that, like everybody else was. Jordan Love, this kid was throwing the ball. He was throwing dimes on time, hitting guys in stride. They did anything they wanted to do. Dallas Cowboys couldn't stop anything yesterday. They were destroyed by Green Bay, no question. And now Green Bay is going to be going to San Francisco, take their show on the road over there. It's going to be an interesting game. Like I said, I had the 49ers being the team that's going to go to the NFC Championship and the Super Bowl. But that Packer team yesterday, that was just an annihilation of the Cowboys from start to finish. That was just a blowout. And let's go to the last night's game, which was obviously, to me and anybody else that was watching, that was the best game of the weekend. You had Detroit and the Rams playing in Detroit. Now, Detroit hasn't had a home field playoff game in like 30 years, they said, something like that. So it was good to see the Detroit fans. They were just rocking that place. You could hardly hear the announcers sometimes talking to the game, which, by the way, isn't a bad thing. But anyway, the Lions came out. They drove the ball down. First drive, touchdown. Rams came out. They drove the ball down, got a field goal. They got kind of stopped. And that game just kind of went back and forth. You really didn't know till the end who was going to win that ball game. Nobody was dominant in it. But it was funny to see Matthew Stafford come back to Detroit and after leaving Detroit and going to LA and winning the Super Bowl, and then Jared Goff, who was a Ram, who's now a Lion. So they were kind of on opposite teams facing each other. That was really kind of amazing to see. But at the end of the day, the Rams should have never punted the ball at the end of the game. They should have went for it. That was their mistake. Lions got the ball, kept it, boom, couple first downs, game was over. Good to see. It was really nice to see the Lions pull that win out. It was a good game, best game of the weekend, closest game by far of the weekend. And I was happy to see the Lions win. They've been kind of like the Jets are, the butt of jokes for I don't know how many years. If you want to make a joke about a team, you make a joke about the Detroit Lions. And this team deserved it. The fans deserve it. So good for them. I think moving forward, they're going to be tough out. If they get to hit San Francisco, I don't think they can handle those guys. But listen, you never know. I didn't think Green Bay was going to wipe the shit out of Dallas, and they did that yesterday. So anybody can win ball games. We all know that. We all can see that. Let's talk briefly about today's games. We got the Steelers are in Buffalo. It's a snow dome there in Buffalo. We've all seen the reports. They actually postponed the game from yesterday to today at 4:00. I think kickoff is like 4:30, something in that area. I'm not sure how the field is. Probably cleaned up, but it's still going to be nasty. It's going to be shitty there. It's going to be snowy. The thing is, both teams know how to play in that. The Steelers do not play in California. They don't play in South Florida. The Buffalo Bills are used to that stuff. So this is going to be an interesting game. I really don't think this is going to be a passing game so much. I think this is going to come down to the run game. This game is going to determine who can run the ball the best, who can hold onto the ball and control the time. And I think that's going to be the team that can win. I know everybody's giving the Bills a big edge here on the game, but don't sell out on the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're there for a reason. They got great coaching. They've got good players. They've got a good defense, and this team don't hold them like they're going to just get wiped out by the Bills. Maybe it could happen. I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's going to be a close game. If I had to pick a winner, I'd say the Bills are probably going to edge it out, as much as I hate to say that. But I think it's going to be a closer game than a lot of people think. And tonight's game is another interesting game, too, because we have the Eagles visiting Tampa Bay. Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Bucks. Unbelievable. They weren't really even too good during the season. Luckily, they're in a weak division. They won it, and here they are with a home field game, and the Eagles have just fallen apart toward the end. I think they've lost 4 or 5 out of the last 6 games, something like that, and they look terrible. The last time the Eagles just don't look right at all, and I'll tell you something right now. Don't think for 1 second they're going to go down there and beat Baker Mayfield and the Bucks. It ain't going to be that easy. The Eagles are off. Something's not right with them. Their defense, their offense looks terrible. Don't be fooled. Don't think for 1 second that the Bucks can't pull this game out. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say the Bucks are going to win this ball game. I think the Eagles' downfall. There's something wrong on that team. I don't know if it's locker room issues. The players seem to be. Sometimes you hear rumors of them arguing back and forth and what to do. Jalen Hurts is overrated. Blah blah blah. I don't know. All I'm saying is that this team has a problem. This team has issues. Now they got to come out tonight in Tampa, and they got to march down the field. They got to show the Bucks that these last 5 or 6 games were a fluke. You know, they're still the Eagles. They're still tough. They're still on top. But I don't know. I don't sell the Bucks short. I got to tell you, I think at the end of the day, I'm the only person here that thinks it, other than Buck fans. I think Tampa Bay can win this ball game. It's going to be a close one, but I do think the Bucks can win this ball game, and the Eagles are going to be 1 and out. And then they're going to have to be really looking at themselves in the mirror, because you can't start a season 10-1 and end up losing the division and then losing in the first round of the playoffs to a team that was like 9-8 or something like that. You can't do that. That's going to be unacceptable. And another thing I want to mention before going off, I would say that Mike McCarthy's last game as a Cowboy was yesterday. I don't think Jerry Jones is going to allow this. This was an embarrassing loss for the Cowboys. A couple of weeks ago, I remember Jerry Jones saying that this was one of the best chances his Cowboys have had to go to the Super Bowl in years, he said. And they just got their asses shellacked by the Packers, who were the last seed. By the way, that was the first time in NFL history that a 7 seed has beaten a number 2 seed. So that was a crazy win for the Pack. I think some moves are going to be made in the next few days. Don't be surprised. Maybe not the next few days, maybe after the Super Bowl. That's kind of when all the shit goes down. But don't be surprised if we don't see our arch enemy Bill Belichick behind the bench in Dallas come next year. So anyway, everybody, thank you for joining in. I appreciate it. We'll watch the games this afternoon. We'll see what happens. We'll talk more about them tomorrow, and then we'll talk more about the next matchups for next week in the divisional rounds, and we'll go from there. But either way, everybody have a great day. Enjoy the games today. And I'll talk to you soon. Oh, yeah, please don't forget to like my video if you do like it at all. And subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out a lot. I'd like to see your comments, and I respond to everybody's comment. I appreciate everything. And as always, we'll talk again tomorrow or after the games, and we'll discuss next week's games coming up. Everybody have a great day. Talk to you soon. Bye now.